Hey guys, I'm Samantha and welcome to a new video. I am here to talk about the books that I have read for the month of October. I had read 11 books in total. I have my notebook down here. I'm going to be referencing with my notes and stuff of these books. Just before we get started, if I sound a little stuffy, I am recovering from a cold and currently cannot hear out of this ear and still feel pretty sniffly, and will probably have to stop to cough multiple times in this video. But that being said, let me get on to the books that I've read for October. The first one being, I listened to the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I gave this 3.5 stars. This one's probably my favorite out of his books, to be honest. I haven't really loved his other books, and the audiobooks are very good for this book as well. It is following a group of suburban moms who form a book club to try to pass the time away when a suspicious neighbor happens to move in and children from the predominantly black neighborhood starts going missing. So the main character takes it upon herself to investigate and to slay the monster that has moved in. Like I said, I did really enjoy this, and I do highly recommend it as a beginner to Grady Hendrix. Book 2, I read Three Little Wishes by Paul Cornell. I gave this 3.5 stars. This was a NetGalley review book that I was given, and it was released in July, so I'm not too far behind on this NetGalley review. It has more of a Archie Comics style or vibe to it. I did really enjoy it. It definitely put a spin on the standard genie wishes, and it pretty much it lets you know of what a anal lawyer type would do with the three wishes and the chaos that ensues after that. Book 3, I read Beach Street Knitting Society and Yarn Club by Gil McNeil. I gave this 3.5 stars. I had received this as a gift for my birthday quite a few years ago from my mother-in-law. This is a contemporary, chick lit type style or cozy literature style book that follows a woman, Jo, as she handles the death of her husband and moving into a small English countryside town to run a yarn store, and the adventures that she gets up with her having to be a single parent with her 2 boys. It's a nice slice of lifestyle of book, definitely a good palate cleanser, and I do plan on continuing the series, which is the Jo Mackenzie series. This book originally has a different title, I believe, in the UK. I'm not aware of it at the moment, but I know whenever I was reviewing it on Goodreads, it came up as having a secondary title, but I still enjoyed it. Book 4 was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I gave this 2.5 stars. I listened to this as an audiobook and it was just okay. This is a horror novel that was adapted into a Netflix movie with Sandra Bullock. It's really hard to explain this book. It follows a woman as she is trying to survive in this dystopian post-apocalyptic world with 2 children and without being able to see. It is part of a series, the Bird Box series. I just started getting kind of bored with the overall plot, to be honest, so I didn't really vibe with it too much. I read this as a book for the Recreate Book Club that my friend Ashley with Ashley's Media Addiction hosted, and I was a co-host for that book. I know as I'm recording this now, our live show is actually tomorrow for it. So you guys will know my full thoughts over there on her channel. I'll try to remember to link it down below. So if you are interested in what our thoughts are, you'll be able to see it there. Book 5 is Everything is Okay by Debbie Tung. I gave this 5 stars. This was a NetGalley book that was released in September that I got for review, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely could relate so much to the character. It's supposed to be a graphic memoir that tells the author's struggles about dealing with mental illness, with anxiety and depression and things like that. I really felt myself reflected in this book because I myself struggle with high anxiety and depression, and the artwork itself is super beautiful as well. I actually really would like my own copy of this book, and I highly recommend it to everyone who feels like they are struggling with their mental health and that they feel alone. This makes it like a perfect example of showing that you are not alone when it comes to dealing with your mental health. Book 6 is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I gave this 4 stars. This is a utopian style genre, not a dystopian. It follows a world where they had figured out a way to eliminate death from the equation of people's lives, but still due to overpopulation, there are a group of people called Scythes that their jobs are to pretty much kill people. This follows 2 young teenagers as they are taken on by a Scythe to become an apprentice in their journey into becoming Scythes themselves. This was a late night bookwarming book club pick for September, and we had our live show for that like in the middle of October. It was a really well enjoyed book from all of us. I really enjoyed the character development, and I do see myself continuing the series in the future. Book 7 is Die Volume 4 by Karen Gillan. I gave this 3.5 stars, and this was the last volume of the series, which follows a group of adults as they get sucked back into their role-playing game that their friend had created back when they were teenagers. It is like Stranger Things meets Jumanji style, where they are all have to play the game in order to be able to leave the game. The plot felt like it was just really cut too short for this series. I could see it being worked out a lot better if it was a couple more volumes longer instead of just the 4, but overall I did find it pretty interesting. I just felt it was a little lackluster due to it being so short. Book 8 is Sprite and the Gardener by Rhea Brugo. This was 3 stars. This was a Kindle Unlimited book that I had got to read. It's a super short and sweet graphic novel. I believe it's a middle grade. It just follows a Sprite as she is new to a neighborhood and is trying to find a garden to help bring to life. And she meets a young girl as she is getting into the hobby of gardening as well. It's great for kids who are interested in getting into gardening. I highly recommend it, and the artwork is really beautiful as well. And the last book I actually officially finished for the month of October is the 9th book, Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. I gave this 3 stars. This was the pick for the literature book club that's hosted by Steph Loves. I read it just in time for like a week before the actual live show. I didn't really think I was gonna enjoy it very much. I just kind of read it for shits and giggles, more or less. It was definitely very entertaining. It does have trigger warnings at the beginning of the book. There is sexual assault and abduction at the beginning of the book, which I wasn't expecting. It definitely was darker than I was expecting it to be. But I am willing to give the next book a try to see like how it progresses. I don't know about continuing the entire series. It just depends on how I feel about the next books in the series. Now, I had 2 books that I ended up DNFing for the month. So, like, book 10 that I'm going to mention is The Yoga Life, Applying Comprehensive Yoga Therapy to All Areas of Your Life by Robert Butera. I got to, I believe, the 50% or 53% mark in that book before I DNF'd it. I got this as a review copy from NetGalley, and it was released last year, like July of last year. With the amount that I did read of it, I did give it 2.5 stars. I just was starting to get really, it was getting really hard to focus on reading this book. The writing was really dense and nothing stuck with me. And I just found myself just reading it just to get through it, honestly, and not really wanting to pick it up. So I decided just to like call it a loss and try to find something different. I can see this being a really good guide for people who are really into doing yoga as their therapy, but as someone who doesn't do exercises very much and has only done yoga for like a very small amount and is not very good at keeping up with a routine like that, it's just, unfortunately, I wasn't inspired enough to like use these in like my own practice and trying to start an actual practice. And the last book that I DNF'd for the month as book number 11 is A Little Life by Hanya Yaragihara. This book is known across the book community about being a really difficult to read. A lot of people have broke down crying and sobbing, and there's a lot of messed up things that happened in this book. I myself only made it to maybe about 10% before I DNF'd, and the 10% that I did read, I would have to say it would be at 2 stars. I was just bored, and I found myself not wanting to pick it up, so I wasn't going to force myself to read. I'm already feeling kind of like in a weird slumpy mood for this last half of the year and not being really picky about what I want to read. I'd rather not try to force myself to read anything. So, but yeah, those are the 11 books that I had gotten either completed for the month of October or at least attempted to read for the month of October. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these titles and what you thought of them, and give this video a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to keep up to date with all the videos that I have coming up in the future. And until next time, guys, bye.